You can make money in No Man's Sky as easy or as difficult as you want, but who wants to work hard when it all takes a little know-how? Well, today I'm going to show you how to build yourself a chlorine farm and refinery so that money making isn't that much work at all. Apart from that, I will be sharing with you the best way on getting more bang for your buck. I would like to make clear that this farm is built and tested in survival mode and not in normal, so be aware of that concerning storage space and such. I have already prepared a structure here which will be serving as our refinery. This structure is very basic and should be easy for you to copy or even improve on. This base has been built between 3 hotspots. A salt deposit right there at 179 U, an electrical hotspot right there at 285 U, and one more, an oxygen deposit at 180 U. To reduce the time of these types of tutorials, I have created separate guides that cover the basic preparations. I will drop a card at the top of the screen and a link in the description if you're interested in learning more about finding hotspots. All 3 hotspots are within the base radius, so there's no need for me to extend my base. But if you find yourself in a situation where the hotspots are out of the standard range of the base computer, then check out this video explaining how you can expand on it. As I would like to avoid clutter and mess in this refinery, we will be starting with preparing some hidden power connections. Open up the build menu and select a wall cap, located here on the corner of your base, and now we do a reverse wire glitch. I will be sharing the button combinations on screen, but for a more detailed explanation about glitch building, I would refer you to this guide on my channel. When successful, you will have replaced the wall cap with a wire. As the purpose of this wire is only electrical, we don't need to glitch on it, we can simply pull the wire out and place it here. This will only be a placeholder for the time being. Now on the other side of the base, you can see the wall cap does not snap there, so we will have to delete this wall for the moment, and that way the cap will snap in place. Once again, we reverse wire glitch and then pull the other end of the wire to our first connector. Now there is a wire running underneath our walls. Before we do the other corner here, I would like to build and add some more connectors in the center, as we will have storage containers here. So let us duplicate this wall, bring it over to this location and reverse wire glitch. Pull the wire over to this corner and connect it here. We do the same here, reverse wire glitch from the wall and then pull a wire from that to the previous connector. And now we can finish it off and reverse wire glitch from a wall cap to a wire. And now connect it to the previous connector. Alright, now we have prepared connectors here. These connectors will serve as the power distribution network of our farm. The connector right here will be the one that provides power to our mineral salt extraction. The connectors on the side will be the one that powers the oxygen extraction there. And of course we need a power supply which will be pulled from this corner here to the power hotspot there. Now all this has been prepared, we will now begin with building our extractors on each hotspot. We will be starting with the oxygen farm first, then build our mineral farm, and that way we can calculate how much power we will be needing from our electrical hotspot. You might have noticed that I placed save beacons on each hotspot. That is because every time you reload your game, the indicators for them are removed. Using the beacon, I can just move to the exact location and analyze it again. This one here is a B-class oxygen hotspot, which provides us with a 60% yield. We will start by trying to locate the perfect center of this deposit so we can get the maximum yield. Seems like my beacon is actually quite perfectly located on it. So next, we want to place a wall here, then a short wall on the side here, and now we can snap a floor on that wall so it's above the beacon. Now jump on the floor and try to locate the highest possible yield of that hotspot, in this case 60%. Alright, now my character is standing right on top of that hotspot. Let us now go into building menu and select the supply pipe. Go into the building camera and locate and place the supply pipe perfectly between our legs. Now the supply pipe is attached to the floor, but because of our character we cannot place it. Simply go out of the build camera again, move your character and switch back to the build camera. Now locate the supply pipe on the floor. Before we place it, however, simply cycle to the wire so that we can place a wire instead of a supply pipe. The next thing I would like to do is to remove this floor and wire glitch a new floor on top of the connector we just installed. Then we can snap 2 walls on the side here to make a second level. Now duplicate this floor, locate it here and reverse wire glitch. Pull the wire down here to the connector on the side, and this will now create a center point of where the floor used to be. We can now snap a floor in place and then select a short wall and place it here. Reverse wire glitch it and then pull the wire to the center of that floor. Let us delete the walls, and now we should have 2 locations where we will be able to glitch our extractors onto. So why do we need to do this? Because we need to make 2 sets of oxygen extractors to avoid diminishing returns. So on this connector here we will glitch a set of extractors, and on this connector we glitch another set of them. Let us start with glitching 1 so that we can see what extraction rate we have. So select the gas extractor from the menu. You might notice that I do not have the building materials, but don't worry. A side effect of the wire glitch is that you can build any part without the necessary resources. So simply toggle to the wire and then wire glitch the extractor on the connector in the floor. And there we go. So before we continue glitching more of them, let us check the extraction rate. Because the extractor does not have any power, we cannot see the actual amount of oxygen being extracted, but you can see the concentration of our yield is 59%. Knowing the maximum extraction of a gas extractor is 625 U per hour, we can calculate how much it will be extracting once powered. So this means in this case we will be extracting 370 U per hour per extractor. To avoid diminishing returns, we need to make sure that the total extraction per set is not above 2500 U per hour. This means we cannot place more than 6 extractors per set, otherwise we exceed that rate. Okay, so we already have 1 of this on the connector, so let us glitch 5 more on the same connector. Okay, now we have 6 extractors on the same location, and this will be our first set. We will need to do the same here, which is just the same as the one we did before, so let me do this and I will see you once I'm at the mineral hotspot. For the viewers that cannot or are not willing to glitch build, it is possible to simply stack the extractors in sets. Just make sure that you do not link the 2 sets up by connecting the supply pipes between them. This farm can be built without glitch building. You simply will end up with a larger structure and probably a slightly less efficient farm. In the meantime, we are at the salt hotspot. Now we only need a small amount of salt for this farm, so there's no need for more than 1 extractor. Just as we did with the oxygen hotspot, we need to find the highest yield. And let us prepare another floor so we can fine-tune the perfect location. To be honest, it is not really needed to have the highest yield for this mineral extractor, as we only need to fill up 1 supply depot after 4 hours. But it is always nice to just extract the most out of it. As we did with the previous hotspot, let us use the supply pipe to mark the ideal percentage. Glitch a new floor on the connector. Select the mineral extractor and wire glitch it onto the connector in the floor. Okay, with this now in place, the last hotspot we need to do is the electrical hotspot. This electrical hotspot is only a C-class, but it will suffice for the power we need to supply. Once again, you will need to find the highest yield and mark it with a wire. Once the connector and the floor are in place, we start with glitching 1 EMG on the connector. That way we can see how much it is generating. Alright, this one is now generating 140 kP per hour. So we need to calculate the amount of power we need. We have oxygen harvesters, which require 50 power per unit. We have 12 of them, so we will be needing 600 power in total. We also have 1 mineral extractor, also requiring 50 power per unit. We will be building 2 storage containers, which in total will be needing 10 power. And finally, we will be installing a teleporter module, which will be needing 20 power. In total, the power we need for this farm is 680 power. Let us say 700 to make it easier. Understanding the EMG generates 150 U per hour, we need at least 5 generators to provide that need. So let us glitch 4 more generators onto the same electrical connector. Okay, now these are ready and prepared, we will now pull a wire from here to our base. Wires, cables and supply pipes only have a limit of 200 U. Remember that our power hotspot was 285 U away from our base, which means it is not possible to pull a wire in one stretch to our base. You will notice that you exceed the limit when the projection beam of your backpack changes from green to red. I don't want to pull a wire here as it's too visible in the terrain. So let me move back and place the wire in the water here. Depending on where you have your base, you can either dig the wire in the ground or simply use a cloaking device to hide the wires. I will be pulling the wire along the water line here and then bring it back to my farm. The wire should end up on the connector here at the corner. Remember the distribution network we created? This should now power up that whole network. The next thing we need to do is pull wires from both corners to the respective extraction stations. Let us begin with powering the oxygen harvesters. We could once again hide the wire in the ground, but for the sake of this tutorial, let us simply pull the wire straight onto the extractors. Once the first extractor is connected, we can now see it is extracting at a rate of 370 U per hour. We cannot see the total extraction rate yet, as that will be only known once we connect the supply pipe to the connectors. But that we will be doing later on. Let us begin with connecting another wire from this set to the set on top, so the extractors can at least begin with doing their job. Let us now move back to the central base and prepare the supply depots which will be needed to store all of our extracted resources. Each supply depot has a capacity of 1000 units and we need to have 20,000 in total. The plan is to build 10 supply depots per set, making sure they are not connected to avoid the diminishing returns. To keep the farm small and clean, we will be glitching 10 supply depots here and 10 here. To begin, we will be deleting this floor and prepare our glitching points. So, take a short wall and snap it here on the floor. Then select a half short wall and snap it against it. Now reverse wire glitch it and pull the wire to the connector here. This should result in a straight up connector that will serve as our placeholder. Now select a small floor panel, locate it here, reverse wire glitch and then pull that wire to the connector here. We can now snap a small panel here and then do the same next to it. Reverse wire glitch and pull the wire to the connector here. Now we can delete all of this. Place back the large floor and we have now 2 perfectly placed connectors inside our floor which can serve as our glitching point for the supply depots. The next thing we will do is wire glitch 10 supply depots on each of these connectors. There we go. We also need 1 supply depot here to collect the salt, but there is no need to glitch it as we only need 1. Still, you can see I do not have the materials to build it. So let us quickly wire glitch it and delete it again, and that should give us the necessary materials. And now we can build the last supply depot right here in the corner. Okay, now this is prepared, let us pull power towards our mineral extractor. Now we can simply take our supply pipe, connect to the mineral extractor and now pull it back towards the single supply depot at our base. While the storage is empty for now, you can see the extraction rate and the mineral we are extracting, which is salt. We can now also connect supply pipes towards the oxygen harvesters, but because we need to be careful the pipes are not too close, we should prepare the path a little bit. So select the half arch and let us build some distribution towers that will help us to guide the supply pipes. And we can use the wire as a guideline to follow the direction. You can of course get very creative with these towers, but let us keep it simple. Now the towers are placed, we can go into our build camera and connect the first supply depot to the left here and pull it over to the left side of the tower. Now we connect a supply pipe on the right and then pull again that pipe to the right side of the tower. This should provide enough distance between the pipes and avoid diminishing returns. Now we just pull one from here to here and then one from there to here. Now both of these are extracting and transporting the oxygen to their respective supply depots. Let us go and double check the extractors and see how much they provide and if they are affected by the diminishing returns. Okay, the bottom one is extracting at a rate of 2,250 per hour. And that is the maximum I can do, as if I would add more extractors to the set, that would exceed that 2,500. Alright, let us check the one on top as well. Nice, also extracting the same rate of 2,250 per hour. And the storage is the same, so no overlap between the two sets. Now all this has been done, the farm is functional and generating oxygen and salt as we speak. Let us now focus on finalizing the refinery base. The first thing we need to place is 2 storage containers. These will be used to store the extracted goods so the farm can continue extracting more. Let us select the wall out of the build menu and place them here. Then we can connect 2 corridors on these walls. Now we can remove the walls again, and now we can connect our storage containers against these corridors. Just make sure they are faced in such a way that we can reach them from inside the base. Now we can delete these corridors, which will leave the containers accessible. We can now power up these containers as well with the previously prepared power lines. To close the wall, we can either use archways, which don't look that bad, or we can build doorways instead, which close it off even cleaner and still allow access to the containers. Okay, let us finish the walls and build a roof on it, as this is a stormy planet after all. We also will focus on building the refiners in a bit. Okay, before we close off the roof, let us place our refiners first. It is possible to simply free place the refiners, but if you like to have them perfectly lined up, we can glitch them in place. For this, we will be using the universal adjacency glitch. Let us place a half short wall here. Against that, we can place a short wall and another one against it. And here, we can use a short one to glitch the refiners. So let us place that one on the side somewhere so we can duplicate it if we need it. Now, select the medium refiner from the build menu. We need to store the refiner in our cache, so we can do this by pressing the buttons for toggle wire and toggle edit. Now duplicate this short wall and locate it here. Press the buttons for a wire glitch. When done right, it should place the refiner perfectly lined up where the wall was. And we can do this for another 4 times. In the meantime, I would like to remind you about the glitch building guide I have linked in the description of this video if you wish to learn how to glitch build. Now all the refiners have been glitched in, we can now finish the build. And here we go, the farm is as good as done. As you can see, I'm already storing 500 oxygen and we should have some salt very soon. So this will take a few hours before the storage hoppers are full, so I will take a quick break and I will be back once they are full. Alright, it took roughly 4 hours to have all hoppers filled up, but here we are. We are storing 1250 units of salt and 23,000 oxygen. These will now be our source for refining this all into chlorine. So let us pick up our salt, place it in our exosuit and store it into our refiners. Normally we should collect oxygen as well, so we can fill both slots, but for the sake of this tutorial, let us begin with just placing the salt in here. As you can see, salt automatically refines into chlorine by a ratio of 2:1, but it also takes you almost 2 minutes to refine one batch of it. I am currently also using my controller to move the salt around, but if you're using a mouse, you will be able to move much quicker. Okay, we have placed all our salt into the medium refiners. Let us now collect all the oxygen. Seems like I do not have enough space in my exosuit, so let us store the rest in my high-capacity cargo. And let us now store that oxygen into our storage container, otherwise I will not be able to empty the second hopper. Let us now empty the second hopper and store the rest into our cargo again. And let's store it back into the container. Now the container is full, we have a total of 20,000 oxygen in there. But we do have enough spare oxygen in our exosuit to start adding it to our refiners. Once we added oxygen, we can also start the refining process. Now we are refining chlorine with a ratio of 2:5, and the processing time only takes 45 seconds. In the meantime, I also started a timer. This is just to show you how long it will take to finish the first step of this refining process, which is the preparation for later on when we will be doing the chlorine expansion. The refiners are now all in the process of producing chlorine, and we will have to be collecting the chlorine several times until the salt is completely finished. Be sure to also add oxygen where needed so we can get this done at full efficiency. In theory, we do not need to refine that much salt into chlorine. We could simply take one batch of each refiner and that would be enough to start your next step. But for now, let us just finish all the salt. Alright, now that the salt is empty in this refiner, let us just take the chlorine and move it from here to here. And let us refill the oxygen and the chlorine as well. Now, this combination will be making even more chlorine while only taking us 37 seconds. I'm not going to start up the refiner yet, so we can once again time how much we can make in a short amount of time. I will just continue emptying the refiners and preparing them for the chlorine expansion. Okay, we have now refined all our salt into chlorine. This took us about 4 minutes and 17 seconds, and I really have been taking my time with this. So, how much chlorine did we make now? So, 7 times 250 plus 125, that is 1,875 in our inventory. We also have 5 times 250 in our refiners, which should be a total of 1,250, so that's 3,125 chlorine in total. This results in already a total value of 1.8 million, just by refining the salt with the oxygen. But now, the real money making begins. We still have more than 20,000 oxygen in stock, so let us see how much we can make by combining oxygen and chlorine in 10 minutes. However, before we start, let me move the chlorine of our inventory into the storage container. Now we can start the refiners and the timer, and let us see how much we make. I will be speeding this up just to not take too much of your precious time. It is possible to expand and add even more refiners to this base, but in the end, 37 seconds is a pretty short run, and it will only give you time to efficiently follow up on 5 refiners. Let us just collect a little more chlorine and then check how much we made in 10 minutes. Take into account, we still have chlorine in our refiners, but this is what we have collected so far in 10 minutes. In total, we made a little less than 12,000 units of chlorine. Multiplying this with the basic value of chlorine, this means we made over 7 million in 10 minutes. That's not bad for such a short amount of time. I will now store all that chlorine back into my storage container so we can start fresh. I will now keep refining all that chlorine until I fill up my cargo slots completely. So give me a minute, I will be back with you once I finished with that. Hey and welcome back everyone. I just have been non-stop refining for 50 minutes straight and I filled up all my cargo slots in my inventory. So if we quickly count all this together, we now have refined chlorine for the value of 14.5 million, all in 50 minutes work. This means with everything I refined during this tutorial, which in total took me about 30 minutes, I have a value of more than 22 million units in chlorine. Of course, much of this is tested while explaining the tutorial, so this will provide you even more when improving efficiency. Before we go ahead and make money out of this, I would like to make clear that market crashing in permadeath and survival is not possible, as we do not have enough space in our inventories to affect the market demand. Market crashing is only viable in normal mode and can be done with several resources like cobalt or chlorine. To learn more about market crashing, I did do a research video about this last year and I will link it in the description below. So, what is the best way to earn money in survival or permadeath with chlorine? There are a few locations you can go and sell your chlorine as long as they have pilots landing. That can be either on a trading post, planetary archive or the space station. For this tutorial, let us travel to the space station. So why do we want to sell to pilots? Why don't we just sell it to the galactic trade terminal? The reason is simple. Selling items at the Galactic Trade Terminal affects the market. The more you sell, the lower the demand, and the less money you will be making off the product the next time you sell it. This is the main strategy behind market crashing. But, as we cannot crash the market enough to gain anything from it, it is better to sell our products to the pilots. This is because, at least while we're recording this, selling to pilots does not affect the market at all. The demand will not drop, which means we can go refine more chlorine and sell it again to the pilots and keep on selling it at the same value as before. Making money in No Man's Sky is very easy, and it's ridiculous how quickly you can become a billionaire in-game. The only question is, what to do with all that money? Many players have been asking for more expensive and unique ways to spend money. What about you? What would you like to spend your money on? Let me know in the comments. If you still got some time, perhaps one of these videos might interest you. Either way, don't forget to press that thumbs up on your way out. Thank you so much for watching. This was Beeblebum. Goodbye for now.